All right, the wait is almost over. The NFL draft just around the corner right now. One of the more exciting times of the year. Kevin Carroll with you. Welcome to the Buffalo End Zone podcast along with Stevie Johnson. Stevie, I mean, it's hard to believe, but the NFL draft now just around the corner.
Just around the corner. It seemed like it was just yesterday when we was watching our magical Bills go undefeated at home and then make a run through the playoffs just to get halted by those darn Kansas City Chiefs again. But yeah, here we are with another opportunity to add more depth to our team, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited to talk about it.
Add more, and then why not this year, right, Stevie? That's always the motto. Why not this year the Bills can turn it around? We are going to dive deep, Stevie, into the upcoming draft in the Bills draft history, but you are also part of the Bills draft history. What are your thoughts when this time of year comes around? Do you look back at the process you went through, and what was that process leading up to that 2008 draft?
Yeah, I think about it all. Every single year is kind of special because you just think about things that you just don't know about. Like what is things going to be like when I go to this next city that I go to? Will I fit in? What quarterback will I have? So many thoughts. What round? It's so many thoughts that go on. But for me, the blessing for me was I wasn't one of those high draft guys. So I didn't really have that pressure of where would I go, which team. It was just, if I get my name called, then that's a blessing in its own. So, that's how my draft process went. It was make plays and just get your name on a radar. And from there, you got to continuously work. And that's exactly what happened. I put in plays from the University of Kentucky. And, from there, my name got drawn in the seventh round. Coach Bobby April called me up, and I didn't even know who Bobby April was. I didn't know nothing, but he said, "Hey, it's Coach April with the Buffalo Bills. I heard the Buffalo Bills before. I know that." Everything else was just womp, 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 womp. And I just said, "Yeah, I'm ready to do whatever, Coach. I'm ready." And next thing you know, I'm at One Bills Drive, and I'm ready to do whatever for the Buffalo Bills.
Like the adults on Charlie Brown, right, Stevie? Um,
Literally.
were the Bills one of the teams that either you met with or spoke to? Did you have any idea that the Bills might be in play for you coming out of Kentucky?
No, Kev. You see that's why I say the pressure. There was really no pressure or no anticipation or anxiety. I had all my anxiety and pressure was on the season before at Kentucky. If I don't do anything, if I don't make any plays, then I won't be in position to have my name in this talent pool. And so when it came down to it, they had draft boards and things like that. I ended up getting an invite to the NFL Combine, so that also gave me a little bit of validation that okay, my name is out there. So, at the end of the day, if they're not talking about first round, second round, third round, even fourth round, then, the rest is basically you just waiting for a call. And from there is training camp or rookie mini camp to impress, coaches and get that next call. So my draft process, like I said, that early in them days, I didn't have no meetings with any teams. It was just waiting for day 2 or day 3 and let's see what happens.
As we record this, Stevie, it is the 25th anniversary of Tom Brady being picked by the Patriots late in the draft. You go, I mean, that's well documented. There's plenty of Tom Brady documentaries on how he felt as the draft went on and not hearing his name. You were the second of 3 seventh round picks for the Bills in 2008. How was your weekend back then where you sat there? I know you just said, it's just a bonus, your name's out there. But as the rounds go by and you see other receivers get selected and it's not you, again, we've heard from Tom Brady ad nauseum what he went through. What did you go through?
Yeah, no, now that's real though. Those are natural emotions. Going through the season, I didn't keep up with any receiver. I didn't know about any of them. But as the draft went on, and you put your hay in the barn, quote unquote, And then you see like, okay, I'm top of in the SEC. This is supposed to be the best league. I'm all team, first team, and etc. And then you go to the draft, and then you get this guy picked ahead of you, this guy picked ahead of you, and then you start looking at their numbers and who they've been going up against, and you like, man, how is this happening? So you get that ego, and that was real. First round, I knew I wasn't gonna be in that, so it was easy. Second round, I knew that also. Third was where it's like, okay, let's see what guys start getting picked. And then fourth round, I was like, I might be able to squeeze into the fourth round with the performances that I've had and with the teams that's in the fourth round, like the Tennessee Titans, and I've had performances in Tennessee. So I was, thinking with that connection being close to Kentucky, around that time was where I may get selected because they had two picks. And then once that fourth round went by, and I don't get picked, it was actually friends of mine that got picked. I was still cool because those were friends. But
Mhm.
now I start getting like, man, what's going on? Like then fifth round came by, nothing. Sixth round, then guys getting drafted from schools that's way under. Cause I'm like, hold on, hold on. So then I called my agent. I called up CJ LeBoy. Shout out to my agent from day one. And he always been super chill and let me know like, oh no, well this is how things go. You can have meetings with this person at combines, but in the draft it's still random pool, especially after the second round. And I was like, okay, so I understood that. And sixth round went by. I was just laying down with my wife then and wife now, Brittany. And like I said, we was laying down, and I got a call from Bobby April, and everything turned up. Then we go hit the mall. We got some Bills hats. The whole block seemed like they knew. It was pretty cool. It was a magical moment to be in the seventh round.
That's got to feel great. Then you're on the Bills now, Stevie. And that year, James Hardy, out of Indiana, I believe, selected in the second round. He was brought in. I remember I was in the Bills media room that draft night. I remember that draft. The first day, the second day. Gotta admit, I wasn't there the third day when you were selected, but I was working at the studio. So I knew what was going on, but I remember a lot was made about James Hardy. I remember hearing comparisons to him having the playing style of Randy Moss and stuff like that. So now you get picked and you know that they went wide receiver in the second round. What does that do for you when rookie minicamp comes around and you get your first chance to show your stuff?
Man, I was excited. I was excited to join forces with another star or somebody that they saw potentially as a star. You drafted me in the seventh round as a receiver. I've never played any special teams in college, so I'm thinking, okay, I'm here to play receiver. Seventh round, I got called by the special teams coach. Okay, maybe because it's just you a seventh rounder. I'm not tripping off that. But then the second round, they went out and got a 6'5", 4'4", 40, putting up amazing numbers. This guy could take the top off just like Randy Moss. It's easy to draw those comparisons, and I was excited for it though. Like, man, I always wanted to play with dogs. I always wanted to play with more, talented players. And it was here. Here was our chance to be the, I guess, new face of Buffalo is what I was seeing it as. But things didn't pan out due to certain injuries and mental development in the offense. And when I say that, that goes along with some of those pressures. That late round draft guys, they don't get that the early guys do. Guys like James Hardy, he was a second round pick, and he had so much pressure to be the new Z. Everybody needed that new Z receiver, and when James came in, it was just that, just focus on that. Meanwhile, Stevie, on the other hand, he's doing everything. He's doing the F, he's doing the X, he's doing the Z, he's doing Y. He's doing all of that because he has to do everything to get on the field, and it's not even under a microscope as much. So, my pressure, I see it a little bit different. I was really blessed to be with the Buffalo Bills in the position I was in, even though as a seventh rounder. And guys, that's blessed to be in positions that's early rounders. You guys got to understand it is more work still, but you got to do it. You in that position for a reason. I always tell my kids, like, Kev, we watch the Avengers a lot. So with great power comes great
Oh
responsibility.
yeah.
And being in a second rounder, you got to do even more. And I just saw it like that.
When you arrive in Buffalo, I mean, let's be honest, Buffalo is a lot different now than it was back in 2008. When you arrive in Buffalo, your arrival in the NFL, but you're coming to a team that was in the middle of their struggles, like right dead center in the middle of it. What were your initial thoughts then?
Initially I wasn't even tripping. I wasn't tripping at all because I was so excited that I made it to the NFL and I'm getting these checks. And they wasn't playing me a lot anyway. You know, I was excited to go to practice and learn and be in the NFL. You know, take care of the family. So I didn't even understand like the drought they was in. But now let's take it to another level of thinking. Now when I'm on the field, I understood like we just needed new players, you know, because the energy wasn't the same. It was one of those energies where like let's say if I knew what I was going into, I probably would have came in like, oh, like daunting or something like that. As opposed to coming in like I don't know what's going on. I'm just like ignorance is a bliss and he just happy to be here, you know, but at the same time I'm like I'm gonna let this play out because we still got veterans ahead of us and you know, maybe I still got to learn the game. It looked like they taking their time with James, trying to settle him in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so let me just keep waiting till my turn. You know, so I that's how I saw things. I knew things needed to change, but there was nothing that a seventh rounder could do at the time. I was literally just doing whatever around the building.
What was going through your mind the first day then during off-season workouts where the veterans join you? We know there's rookie mini camp, but then the guys who have been there show up and that changes the whole dynamic.
Yeah, that was a great time for me because that's where confidence came in. My confidence in being in the NFL when the veterans came in, that's when I say all that Terrence, you know, I don't want to be naming people out like that, but when I saw that they couldn't kind of keep up with me, I was like, oh, so I'm definitely can make it in this league, you know. So I'm really here. So that was great for confidence. I loved going to practice. I loved going to all those rookie mini camps and even the vet mini camps. Even when I was a vet, I still enjoy doing that because I know what it brought me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, so it was a lot of competition. I kept my mouth closed. I didn't talk a lot. I was just trying to listen to what the players were saying. As we were doing breaks and going in between sessions, because I know I was putting in work. But here's the other side of that coin. So I'm doing my thing individually, but I'm still not understanding the whole politics of the NFL. And with James being a second round draft pick and me being a seventh round draft pick, I initially was thinking, okay, we're a team. We're going to be coming up and we're going to take over together. But as I was putting in a lot of work and getting a lot of good, talk and confirmation from the team and players, not the team, but not the coaches, but the players. And James was still trying to get on his way.
Yeah.
I still wasn't getting no playing time. I wasn't getting no love. I wasn't getting none of that. And I was just confused at that part because I didn't think it mattered what rounds you get. It's about talent and
Right.
playing who's ready and this and that. And I didn't get any of that. So that was a wall that I also hit during that vet camp, during that OTA time, where I was just like, dang, well, why am I doing all this stuff here? And then I just had to get checked by another veteran, which was cool, and that's where Josh Reed came in. So I really enjoyed being around the vets because obviously that mentorship. And
Mm-hmm.
Josh Reed was a receiver here. I think he was in like his sixth year, maybe sixth year, and he just told me like, hey, look, that's how it go. That's how this game is, and this and that, and all that happened transpired within that OTA camp when the vets came in. So it was a lot of good intel I got as a rookie.
All right, before we move on, you can correct me, or if you don't remember, I have this memory in my head that the Bills had a preseason game in Toronto your rookie year, and you had a really good game late. Like, I remember interviewing you after a preseason game that I think was in Toronto. Was that your rookie year?
Yeah, it was, and I had my whole name on the back of my jersey,
That's
and, and
right.
I also and I also caught an onside kick that game. Yeah, it was that was pretty cool being out there in Toronto. First time out in Canada playing, it was pretty neat. It was a neat experience that we had.
Yeah, no, I remember being up there and interviewing you after, and then, what did I know? I was a young reporter then. I just remember saying, well, that Stevie Johnson guy might end up being something after what he did. And everyone's like, he's a seventh rounder. It was late in the game. You got to take that with a grain of salt. But that's a
Yeah.
memory of mine from my career, is talking to you for the first time there.
Man, yeah, and how things have changed now, where like it doesn't matter the round you're in now. You can come in as a seventh rounder and instantly make an impact in the offense. At that time, like you said, you saw something, but still it was a process that you had to go through as a seventh rounder to make it. And that's why I say I was thankful for to be able to make it on this Bills team, because at that time, a lot of seventh rounders was not lasting throughout preseason and training camp. So I'm just thankful for it.
That was the other thing, Stevie, is back then the 80s were still the numbers the starting wide receivers were going to get. You had teens or a single digit number. You were a long shot from what I remember back then.
Exactly. You can look at it that way, or I was looking at it the way of I know I'm like the new generation that's going to come
Right.
in, so let me just put my work in, and my time will come. And I assumed that it was going to happen with my brother Hardy, but
Yeah.
unfortunately it didn't. And that's another thing, like coaching changes, and man, like offensive coaches, like who you get drafted by, they don't usually stay when when your program is in a drought, which I didn't think of at the time. But yeah, it's a lot of things that you got to overcome, and I almost made it to get out that drought year with the with Eric Wood, but
So
it was good
close.
that Kyle Williams was able to fill it.
Absolutely. All right, let's go to this year's draft. Wide receiver, maybe they go for a wide receiver later on in the draft. I look at this and I'm stuck on going defensive tackle with that first pick, maybe even moving up to get the guy you want. What are your thoughts on you have cornerback, edge rusher, defensive tackle? I'm stuck on defensive tackle. We've talked to a few draft people, Andy and I, over our time here. The name Kenneth Grant out of Michigan has come up a few times.
Yeah, there's a lot of good talent on the defensive line and out on the edge, along with outside linebacker. For the Buffalo Bills, I know it makes sense. It looks like we should go cornerback because we lost a cornerback. We lost a couple cornerbacks. If we don't get Razul back,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, it looks like you go to that bag. But when you look back at it, it's like, do we want to go do a first round draft on that again? I feel like we can get another corner in free agency. I feel like we could get another cornerback later on in the draft. If we did go get a cornerback in the first round, there are a couple names, but I don't really think it's worth mentioning, because this is why. The last 3, 4 years, 5 years, we've been stopped by the Kansas City Chiefs, not due to our cornerback play. We've had all the cornerbacks, all the different types and styles and schemes, but it's just about getting to a quarterback. And I'm not saying Kansas City Chiefs is going to be the team that's going to be there again next year, but when they've done it 3, 4, 5 times, you assume they're going to be there, just like the Buffalo Bills, because they were there 3, 4, 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at it, yeah, the internet is saying DB, cornerback. Maybe the Buffalo Bills might do it too. Who knows? But when I look at it through my eyes, in my opinion, we have to get somebody to stop a certain quarterback and certain types of quarterbacks, and that's by loading up on the defensive line or on the edge, just like we've seen the Philadelphia Eagles do to neutralize that Kansas City team. And this draft is very deep with defensive guys. And you said one guy, I'm going to say Olawufemi Oladejo is my guy from UCLA. I think he's a game changer. And when you look at it, if you look at his games, he makes plays consistently. It's not one in the first quarter, one in the second. He's back on his third consistent play. He's reading plays. He's not just going to ball. He's reading plays, and that's what we need on our defense. Guys that can go attack the ball and read it at the same time. And that's what I saw with Femi Oladejo. And I just hope that we see that in Buffalo and we can grab that kid.
I think you and I are on the same page on this. You brought up the Philadelphia Eagles. Chiefs beat the Bills. They go on to face the Eagles. Chiefs faced the Buccaneers a few years earlier. Both those times, both those teams from the NFC with really good defensive lines. And that has turned out to be the difference each time the Chiefs have lost in the Super Bowl.
Each time. And the thing that's hard to see is because there's 16 games. There's so many games that we play before we get to those last four or that last one Super Bowl game, and that's what everybody based their judgment off. Those 16 when they're playing against guys in South Beach that's airing it out. They're playing against guys in domes. We're on the road here and there, but you got to understand what we're playing for at the end. We're playing to beat this one particular team. Now I can understand if this was the first year or the second year, and we don't know if the Chiefs will be there third, fourth. We don't know what's going to happen. Then yeah, go ahead and get a DB. I mean, that's what we did, right? We've done that plenty of times. Now's the time to load up on what we saw beat that team that beat us. Plain and simple.
I still, if you're a Bills fan, the Kyer Elam pick must kind of linger around that you ended up getting a Christian Benford later on in the draft that year when you went with Kyer as your first round pick. That just is just a little cherry on top to me that you got to go defensive line here. And you've proven that you've been able to find defensive backs later in the draft.
Yeah, and that's a great thing. That's a great topic to bring up. I'm glad that you did bring that up because the Bills should look into that. Understand you got time in the end of the draft to find a gem, to find a $76 million man without having to go in the first round. I'm the first to say, hey, I'm a Kyer guy. I really wish it would have worked out, maybe, et cetera, et cetera. But what we've shown, this guy, Kyer, had all the talent. He had everything that you need. A cerebral player, long, lengthy. These are all the same guys that we see that they're talking about now. The Florida State kid, Azariah Thomas, the Ole Miss kid, Trey Amos. There's a lot of kids that's the same 6'1", 6'2", that can play physical, play off. They can do all that, yes. But we can also find the same 6'1", 6'2", like we did with Christian Benford, and win. So that's why it just brings me back to hoping that the Buffalo Bills don't be enticed by the look and by what's going on the outside, and they stick to the script and just load up on what's needed, and that's the defensive line. Or I wouldn't even be upset at offensive line.
Yeah. You and I aren't the GM of the Bills, though, Stevie. So we'll see how that plays out. Wide receiver, the wide receiver room, you bring in Keon Coleman last year. He is a tough end to his season. Khalil Shakir has a great season, but there's still something that needs to be added to that wide receiver group, even with what they did bringing in Joshua Palmer so far during the offseason. I look at maybe the Bills going middle round, trying to add a wide receiver and hoping they find another Khalil Shakir. I mean, he was a late middle round guy too.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot of guys that's got Khalil Shakir's skills and with maybe better height. The only thing is you don't have that experience that Shakir has. You don't have that rapport with an elite quarterback. But there's a lot of guys that you can get in the middle round. If we were to take a receiver to be speaking a lot on in the first round, I would say the receiver from Texas. I think his name is Matthew Golden, last name Golden. But with that speed and that threat with him, and then having Josh Palmer, I don't know if you've seen, he's got burners also.
Mm-hmm.
Then with Keon, the look, I mean the speed, and then you got Khalil to just slice and dice underneath. Not to mention our tight ends. That'd be great. But will that help us in the end against the Kansas City Chiefs? I think that's just a lot of glitz. The wide receiver position right now is a lot of glitz, and it's not going to give us a lot at the end. We need to load up with free agents, vets. Talking about rookies right now, Keon is one of the best rookies I've seen talent-wise and size-wise and all that. And, we seen what he put in. That was good work. But was it a huge difference maker? So, it's not enough to speak thoroughly about. Again, I'm a big Keenan Allen guy. He's a vet. He knows how to get things done. He's similar. not similar to Hollins as the game type of player, but when I say that, he can find holes. He's a safety valve for a quarterback. When things happen, you don't have to look at him all the time, but you know that he's going to be where you need him to be. And he's got that attitude for it. So I'm really one of those veteran type of guys to bring in. And again, we'll see what happens with the rookies as they go.
Likely no way he'll end up on the Buffalo Bills. Travis Hunter out of
Yeah.
Colorado, cornerback, wide receiver, says he wants to play both in the NFL. That worked in Colorado. What do you think about what he's bringing and what he can bring to the NFL level? And can he hang at both cornerback and wide receiver at that level?
Yes, he can. I definitely think he can. It's just going to take the right coaching staff that's going to say, hey, here, you just look over this or go link up with so and so assistant coach, and this is what we're going to be having in for the week. You know, he can definitely do it, and I believe he can do it because he's a part of that new generation. I understand that. You know, certain players that's been in, they like, oh man, it was pretty difficult. That was for your time. That was for your walk. We got a different type of player. We got different types of player now, and Travis Hunter is a definition of a two-way player, you know, that's able to go. He has the mindset to go. And, you know, I just feel like it's going to take the right coaching staff to just, you know, allow it and let it be. You know, let the guy go. If he want to burn himself out, let him burn himself out, you know. But it's enough, you know, medical and you know body care to maintain this, and he's pretty smart too, especially with how, you know, that's one thing with the NIL. The NIL does is it gets kids mentally ready to keep their bodies in prime shape so that they can continue to make money. So, you know, that's one benefit of that.
He is one player I'm excited to look at. Before we move on, should the Bills bring in another running back with what's going on with James Cook?
Yes, I say yes, but I would love to see them sign James Cook and then bring another running back in. And I feel like we're going to have to do that anyway. You know, I think the timing might be off. That's why it took me some time to answer this, because if we do sign somebody, then we know what's going to happen. Oh, the writing's on the wall, James, blah, blah, blah. So I just don't want that to happen, even though that needs to happen for our team, for the Buffalo Bills to be better in at the end of the season. Ray Davis is an excellent pickup. Came in and did everything that he was supposed to do as a rookie running back, running the ball, passing. I mean, receiving the ball. Who else did we have? Kev, what's our other running back who was bringing the energy?
Ty Johnson.
Ty Johnson. He came. He did his part. And then obviously James Cook did his part. Bringing in another receiver, I mean another running back would be huge because now you can select what type of style. Do you want to go get a bruiser, or do you want to get another scat guy that can do everything just like those other running backs? You know, and that's going to help our team out. So, you know, I just hope the timing works out to where it doesn't mentally affect guys that's you know, looking into the media a lot.
Yeah, we'll see. Now, Andy Young and I did a little experiment earlier about we went through the different draft classes since Josh Allen arrived, and aside from Josh Allen, who might be the most important guy on the team? We're not going to go through all the draft classes, Stevie, but some of the guys out there, we mentioned James Cook, Khalil Shakir, Christian Benford, we talked about. I have brought up Gabe Davis. He's no longer on the team, but certainly had a major role in how this franchise turned around. But right now, I am totally stuck on Terrell Bernard. That
That's a good
he
one.
is not the Josh Allen of the Bills defense, but obviously was the captain last season, and the Bills are noticeably not as good when he's not out there. So I would say drafting him in the 22nd round, 2022, and that's also when Cook arrives, Shakir arrives, Christian Benford arrives. So a really good draft class aside from Kyer Elam. Again, I'm not piling up on him, but I'm going with Terrell Bernard.
Yeah, I love that selection. You know, Terrell Bernard, he showed the difference maker ability that he is when we saw what the Ravens did to our Buffalo Bills. And then when we got a healthy Terrell Bernard, it was a completely different game. So yeah, tip my hat to that selection. You also said Osiris Torrance and Spencer Brown,
Right.
which because I ended up talking about Deion Dawkins, but we just missed that. He just missed that draft. Yeah, shout out to those guys that's protecting Josh. But my selection is going to be the selection that I actually picked, James Cook.
Okay.
Not because I made that pick, but because I understand. I understand the value of having a run game. That run game is huge. One of my best friends, from playing and off the field now, Fred Jackson, our co-host.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of those guys who he just solidified how important a running back is to a quarterback. The extension of a QB, extension of a receiver and tight end if you have a great running back. So, again, hopefully we lock in James Cook because he's shown that he can be a great player for an asset for the Buffalo Bills.
Yep, that's one of the big things that are still out there. Before I let you go, Stevie, I bring this up to whoever I talk to around this time every year. Have you ever watched the movie Draft Day?
I did actually watch the movie. I was actually I watched it once and I didn't watch it again because I was, supposed to be in it, but I guess my acting skills wasn't on point.
Oh,
So
no, I didn't know that.
yeah, I had one of them kind of fourth round calls. Yo, what's going on? Why I didn't get in this play? This person ain't acting better than me.
Oh,
But
dang,
I
I didn't
was
know that.
a little salty.
I
Was a little salty.
I think it's one of those movies for me. I just watch it every year around this time. I like Kevin Costner. It's hard to miss when he's in a movie. I think it's a little bit much, but a fun watch maybe once a year. I didn't realize you had a shot to be in it. That stinks, Stevie.
Yeah, man. It's all good though. But yeah, it definitely gives, that ability to create a conversation. And that's what I really liked about it. They can go a little over the top, but you need to go over the top so that you can initiate certain conversations with people that's, not watching the movie, or people that want to understand more. It sparks that, So yeah, I really enjoy watching these movies. They got a scary one coming out. Key and Peele, producer, got a scary one about the NFL supposed to come out. I'm a horror movie guy, so
Me too.
that's my thing.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't realize that, an NFL horror movie. I'm
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
forward to that one.
I'm looking forward to it also. I don't have too much info on it, but I just saw a little flash of it on the social.
Anything else we need to know with what's going on with you before we let you go?
No, we everything's good. Just be on the lookout for the Buffalo End Zone show this coming season. We gotta see if we can defend our turf.
Yes.
And but first of all, let's see who we get to add to the team and make our Bills be super. That's all I got for you.
All right. I'm looking forward to it too. Andy Young will be back with me next week, right before the draft. And after each round of the draft, we'll pop on for a quick podcast as well. Stevie, as always, thanks for joining us and thanks for watching us, everyone.